And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Thursday morning's flying weather graphic. IFR out here, the Aleutians into the west central Bering Sea with that big storm coming in. IFR here along the southwest coast up to St. Lawrence Island and the Bering Strait. Inland here, some VFR in the central interior, marginal VFR up there toward the Brooks Range and the central Arctic coast. Narrow band of IFR here from western Prince William Sound, right along the coast range there, on in to the northern panhandle toward the eastern border. And for the afternoon, that persists right along the coastline there, or in the coast range. Actually looks a little north of the coastline, but covers Prince William Sound pretty good, and just lingering there up toward northern Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, and those areas. Marginal VFR on down toward Dixon Entrance. In the interior, some areas of marginal VFR, especially along the Brooks Range, actually the northern, or across the Kobuk Valley into the northern Koyukuk Valley there, and also along the Alaska Range here. Kodiak Island, marginal VFR, marginal in along the southwest and western coastal areas of the Seward Peninsula. And then with that big storm coming in, a pretty good band of IFR here pushing in toward Nunivak Island, western Alaska Peninsula extending westward there to Nikolsky. And then for the Friday morning time frame, that area pushes up right along the southwest coast and into western Bristol Bay, extending up to St. Lawrence Island, back down here near the Pribilofs to the Alaska Peninsula, and up along the Aleutian Range. We have IFR now along the western and northern Alaska Range here, as well as Prince William Sound, southern Kenai Peninsula, and yet another band of IFR for Friday morning there along the central and eastern Brooks Range, with the southeast coast here breaking out to areas of VFR. For the afternoon, more in the way of VFR here for the inside waters of the Panhandle, and a zone of IFR now here for the Gulf of Alaska, up along the North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound, possibly eastern Turnagain Arm, and IFR along and south and east of the Alaska Range in this area. And IFR now pushed in across all of Bristol Bay, up almost into the southern Kuskokwim Valley there, and across the Yukon, or the Kuskokwim Delta, Yukon Delta, marginal VFR, St. Lawrence Island, eastern Bering Sea, and the Aleutians, marginal. Pretty good conditions. We've got VFR off the Arctic coast there, right on down across the central interior into the central Kuskokwim Valley and north of the Alaska Range into the Copper River Basin also. And for passes, Anaktuvuk tomorrow looks rather marginal, as does Adigan. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR trending toward marginal VFR throughout the day. That forecast goes for rainy as well, and windy also for Isabel. Mostly marginal for the day on Thursday. And Mentasta, though, keep it VFR. Tanita, marginal VFR. Chilkoot and White holding on to some IFR. Could be, or I'm sorry, Portage IFR. Now Chilkoot and White. IFR to start, trending toward marginal VFR throughout the afternoon. And for the freezing levels, 2,000 feet here, just north of St. Lawrence Island, and then down to the Barren Islands here, and then hugging the North Gulf Coast, 4,000 feet farther down the coast of the Panhandle. And then much warmer air here out over the Bering Sea now, quite a gradient here from 6,000 to 14,000 feet, and the 14,000 foot line north of Adak and Atka. And moving on to icing, a lot of moisture with that big storm coming eastward here across the Bering Sea. Look for a zone of considerable moderate rime icing from the Alaska Peninsula edging eastward here right up to the southwest coast. That'll be over the Pribilofs later tonight and early tomorrow, and just south of St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, pretty much icing free over the interior, and possible light icing here along the southeast coast there, along the south coast of the Panhandle. And for the jet stream, we're looking at actually northwest flow here, 80 to 90 knots, 90 knots right across the Kenai Peninsula there. And then southwesterlies, 95 knots there down toward Dixon Entrance. And the stronger jet out here to the west with the strong low at 33,000 feet into the northern Bering Sea here. We've got westerlies 110 to 130 knots blowing across the Alaska Peninsula, and even stronger out of the northwest there back to the west. And for 9,000 feet, pretty strong winds here at this elevation, anywhere from 65 to 80 knots over the southern Bering Sea out to the west there. The strongest winds here in the southwest quadrant of that low, but north of the Aleutian chain, and then southerlies 40 to 60 knots here over the southwest interior. Lighter winds to the north and to the east here. This low, not really much of a wind producer there for the Panhandle, and we'll see at 3,000 feet. There is at this elevation, there is a narrow band of 35 knot winds there right along the coast of this Panhandle, extending up and diminishing as you get into Prince William Sound. That's kind of helping to pull that moisture west-northwestward into the area. Otherwise light over the east side, but big winds, 50 to 60 knots here with a band of, that band of 60 knot winds right along the southwest coast. 60 knots out of the west coming into the eastern Aleutians, and then 70 to 80 knots here back over the west central Bering Sea. Turbulence-wise, possible severe here, surface 5,000 feet along much of the Aleutian chain. Also could see severe turbulence here for the southwest coast, Nunivak Island area, and turbulence-free for the central interior areas. And the southeast coast could be a little bumpy there with that band of stronger winds there along the central coast, extending up along Cape Yakataga, Cape St. Elias area. And